So welcome back to another episode, and a few days ago in Japan, it was Dragon Quest's 30th anniversary. 30 years of Dragon Quest, an RPG series that came out on the Famicom in Japan, took Japan by storm. It was influenced by Ultima and Wizardry and Dungeons and Dragons, and yeah, it was an RPG on the regular Nintendo of Japan, which is the Famicom, and it captured their imagination. And it always has since then. It's always done extraordinarily well in Japan. But over in the West, it's a series that's kind of had a hard time getting its footing with fans. And the fans that do love it like myself. And today what I want to do is, a lot of people always ask me, where should I start? What game should I start with? I've never gone into Dragon Quest. Where do I start? It's a huge question. It's, I've reviewed this series. I've talked about memories. But I've never really talked about maybe where you should really jump in. I should really talk about that a little bit better. So to talk about that, I thought we'd just kind of go through a little bit of history and then get right into where you should kind of jump in maybe. And these are just recommendations. I think everybody has a favorite Dragon Quest game that's, when they played it. One of my favorites is 4. Is 4 better than 6? It's debatable. I just like 4. I played it on the regular Nintendo as Dragon Warrior, and then I played it years later on the DS, and it just reconfirmed how much I enjoyed 4. But a lot of people will say 9's the best game, so we're gonna go through all of this. Dragon Quest over here was called Dragon Warrior when it first came out on the regular Nintendo, and that was because of they couldn't get the license, to get the name Dragon Quest. They finally did years later. That's why it's all Dragon Quest over here now. But these are the original games: Dragon Warrior 1. Dragon Warrior 2, we got Dragon Warrior 3 going on, Dragon Warrior 4, I have to say one of my favorites. I think they wanted this to catch on like it did in Japan. Japan was selling millions. Over here, I think they sold thousands. And they gave it a good show, a good go, going up to 4, but that was it. Next up, we got the Super Nintendo hit over here, and it was a massive success. But we didn't get any more Dragon Quest games. We didn't get any more Dragon Warrior games. 5 and 6 came out for the Super Famicom in Japan. They just said, nope. And we never got them. And I was so upset over the years. I was like, oh, why didn't we ever get those? I would have loved to have played them back in the heydays. They would have been legendary RPGs like Chrono Trigger and all the other great Super Nintendo RPGs. But they just kind of bypassed it. I think they looked at sales and said, no, it's not. RPGs aren't popular, and that wasn't until Final Fantasy VII changed that entire idea. So, anyway, so the next game that we got, could you imagine all those years passed and we never got another Dragon Quest game? Until we got 7. We got 7 on the PlayStation 1. Huge RPG, gigantic, massive. We got this. It was a hell of an undertaking. It didn't do well. It came out a little later in the PlayStation 1's life cycle, and it didn't catch on the way they wanted it to, which is unfortunate. But thank God, Square Enix didn't stop at that point. They brought out the incredible Dragon Quest VIII on the PlayStation 2, and this game is a really good jumping in place, and I'm going to get to that. So we got 8, and then we got 9, which was on the DS, a great multiplayer online RPG. You could also play it by yourself. Also another good place. So we got all these games, and that takes us up to really right now. We never got 10. 10 is in Japan only. It's an online game. Maybe there might be something at E3 saying that we might get that game. I doubt it. On the PS4 or something. Dragon Quest 11 is coming out, and it's going to be multi-platform. It looks awesome. So, okay, all these choices, all these games, where do you start? It really depends on what systems you have and what you're looking for. You know what I mean? Do you have a PlayStation 2? If you have a PlayStation 2, I would say Dragon Quest VIII on the PlayStation 2 is a great place to start. But here's another thing. And I don't play a lot of games on my phone. I really don't. But you can get Dragon Quest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not 7, but 8 on your phone. So you can download those if you want to play them. A lot of them are, remakes. So, like, Dragon Quest 1 on the Nintendo Famicom is a remake version. There was also a great translation of Dragon Quest 1 and 2. This is a remake on the Super Famicom. Great place to play the first couple of games. So if you want to get into the first couple games, but you don't want Nintendo graphics, do that. This is a great way to go. I was lucky. I got this years ago by Time Warp Games. They did such a great job reproducing games that we never got. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 on the Super Nintendo here. This is as official as we ever got. So remember, you can always play these games on your phone if you choose to. But if you're a console player, what should you do? I would really, as I say, recommend this game. Dragon Quest VIII is a great way into the series. The gameplay is very, very good. The combat is very updated. A lot of people complain about some of the old Dragon Quest combat, saying it's a little dated. But Dragon Quest VIII really updated that and made it a lot more modern. And yeah, I think that's a good place to jump in. If you have a DS, as I say, I don't want to play games on my phone. You can play the DS versions of 4, 5, and 6, and 9. And also on the 3DS coming up soon, we're getting 7, which was the PlayStation 1 game, which is very long, but I think they're going to announce it at E3 when there's going to be a date. It is coming out on the 3DS, but we just don't know when. So I think that might be a really good jumping in type of game as well. Maybe we'll get a 3DS version of Dragon Quest VIII eventually over here as well, but we'll see. But these are some of my recommendations right now. Like, there's a lot of side story Dragon Quest games as well. Like, you could go, Dragon Quest Heroes is one. I know it's like Dynasty Warriors. A lot of people out there are like, oh, I don't want to play Dynasty Warriors games, but I recommend this game. It is so much fun. It took me by surprise because I kind of went in saying I don't really like Dynasty Warrior games where you just fight wave after wave of enemies. But it's a good introduction to the monsters and some of the world settings, and it's a beautiful looking game. A lot of fun. Gets extremely challenging at the end. So that's an offshoot game that for some reason I just thought I'd recommend. What else have we got? There's a Japanese Wii release of Dragon Quest 1 to 3. I just thought I'd show that. That was released for the 25th anniversary. Can't believe that was already 5 years ago. Jesus, time flies by. But, or you could be a purist. You could be a purist. Honestly, I do enjoy the original Dragon Quest Dragon Warrior games on the Nintendo. There's some charm. It's very archaic. The combat is very grindy. All Dragon Quest is grindy though, but there's something really charming about the original Dragon Quest games. I love all the modern games. I love where the series has gone, but I started playing it on the Nintendo, and it was how I played role-playing games back then. That's what it looked like, and it was completely high tech. It looked pretty good back then. It wasn't Phantasy Star, but it was a great alternative RPG. So, as I say, what my high recommendations are is I would play the DS games. I'd play 4, 5, or 6 on the DS. You can get those, some of them fairly cheap. I know some of them have gone up a little bit, but definitely Dragon Quest 9. Say you have a friend of yours with a DS, get a couple copies of the game and play it with each other, and you can explore dungeons together and find treasures and stuff. It's a really great series, and it's a very grindy series, but it's a lot of fun. I like the world setting. I like the monsters. There's a lot that Dragon Quest has to offer, and I'm looking forward to hearing some more in the next month or so on future Dragon Quest games. Hopefully, I don't know if we'll ever get 10. That's pushing it, for an online game, but 11 we will definitely get. And I think I got my sights on the PlayStation 4 version whenever that's released. But yeah, it is. We'll wait for release dates of that. It'll be Japan before anything. So, guys, what do you think? Like, what are some of your favorite Dragon Quest games? What do you think are good Dragon Quest games to start playing if you've never played Dragon Quest before? There's so many to start with. There's so many games to play. It's a great series, and I really want to see it catch on a little bit more over here because I love this series. I always have. Now Kim loves this series, and we just want other people to experience the same kind of fun that we've had playing this series over the years. So anyways, guys, until next time.